welcome everybody to the webinar here. So my name is Tobias Völker and our topic for today is productivity optimization in machining. And some of you might know.
Small observation, sorry for interrupting. Would you please share the other screen? We see now your PowerPoint presenter mode, the black screen.
So I think that's
yes,
the right one.
Perfect. Now,
okay.
Enjoy your talk. See you soon.
Absolutely. So thank you for the small support here on this side, and welcome everybody. So I don't know if you know Haimer already. Haimer is a world market leader when it comes to shrinking, balancing, tool holding technology. And I mean, today we only have 20 minutes for the presentation. So if you want to know more about Haimer, just have a look on our website, www.haimer.com, and there you can find all information that you want to know. So for today, I want to show you very brief the product portfolio from Haimer, because it's all around the machine tool. It's all around the machining process, which means starting from the tool holder for the milling machine, the cutting tools, the shrinking machines, which help to shrink in the cutting tools into the shrinking chuck, the balancing machines, balancing for cutting tools, grinding wheels, rotors, and so on, presetting technology, which means tool presetting, some measuring technology, and all in all, the tool management logistics. And I would like to share now in brief my camera with you guys. So you can see in the background, there is a nice tool room that we have. And so all the Haimer products actually can be put together in this tool room as a tool assembly or tool presetting room. And this is where all the Haimer technology comes together then. So that's the Haimer program. And today I want to show you how productive machining can be realized with the help of the surrounding and the help of the Haimer products to fulfill the highest productivity optimization in your production process. Coming to the next slide, which shows why high quality tool holders actually, what is the reason why we need high quality tool holders in the process of machining and cutting and making chips. We have a high quality and high precise machine tool with high quality and precise spindle and software, and then we have a very good cutting tool. So we want to make chips. We want to be very precise with the part that we have to machine and the challenge that we have to master. And then in the middle of this process, we have a tool holder. And this tool holder, of course, is the interface, and it must reflect the quality and the accuracy of the machine tool and the cutting tool. So that's the challenge that we are facing. And we say first-class machining centers also require first-class equipment, which means also around the machine tool. And for this reason, we say it's obligatory that you also have a high quality tool holder for the efficient process. But what means high quality tool holder? First of all, the saving potential in manufacturing is enormous. But if you want to save in the tool holders or in the cutting tools, then you save only 0.5%, so 0.5% of the whole cost structure for your machining needs. We say if you really want to save money, then you are saving money on the machining time. You want to be more productive. You want to be more efficient. You want to have higher feeds and speeds. And this is where you actually can make the money, and not in saving by purchasing cheaper tool holding, purchasing cheaper tooling, and so on. So it's about machining time, productivity on your machine. Use the time on your machine in a real productive manner. This is the message of this chart here, and followed by the main criteria for high quality tool holder, which means rigidity, runout accuracy, and balance and safety. And in the following, I come more and more to rigidity, which means the rigidity of the interface of the taper, Haimer is grinding very precise, especially there where the spindle takes the tool holder. We have fine grinded parts and highest accuracy, so less than 1 microns we are grinding, and this is when it comes to highest quality in machining needs. So rigidity is one point, run-out accuracy the second point. So we want that you cut, of course, with all the 4 cutting edges of your cutting tool, and not only with the 2 cutting edges, which means you have higher run-out, then you have higher cost for the cutting tools, and of course you will also have a workpiece which doesn't fulfill the quality aspects that you desire. Yeah, shrink fit technology is the solution to be very accurate, to be very flexible. Long tools can be realized. You can have shrink extensions to shrink them in, to reach deep inside, to get into cavities and around the part, and especially for 5-axis machining, or also for milling applications of dynamic milling. This is a perfect system, and you are very flexible, have a high fine balanced G2.5, 25,000 RPM balancing quality with all the tooling and all the Haimer tool holders for shrinking technology. So that's really a super system. Of course, for this system, you also need shrink machines. Haimer is the only one in the market that offers Industry 4.0 ready shrink machines that are really, I would say tailor-made for the Haimer shrink holders. Of course, they also work with other shrink holders, but perfect, of course, suitable for the Haimer shrink holders. And then the whole system is guaranteeing highest run-out accuracy, a long tool life for the tool holders, so you can shrink out and shrink in as long as you like and as often as you like, just following the principle of this system. Shrinking actually comes out of the die and mold area, but of course today it is also used when it comes to automotive, or also in the area of aerospace. So we have different geometries for shrinking holders: a standard holder, power holder, heavy duty holder, power mini holder, different geometries to fulfill different applications and tasks in your machine tool. And of course, the Haimer shrink holder is also a little bit different than from the competition. So we have a very short chamfer, which means we have a very long fit and very high clamping forces. We have a tight bore, so we have best clamping forces. And for this reason, the Haimer holders or the cutting tools cannot get out of the Haimer holders. If in case for really challenging applications, we of course have our safe lock system. Okay, then I have prepared the first demo for you actually. So let me see if I can just start it. And it's a machining demo. So I assume you can now see let me see if I can just start it. Now it's starting, and I hope you can see the video now. Let me see. So now you can see, no, 1 second.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yes.
Yes. Can you see the video actually?
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately
Try
not.
to go to your screen drop-down list and see the video itself. So in sharing.
Is it now visible?
It's loading.
Can you see it now?
Do you have it on your computer maybe? So we can try to play it.
Is it now working?
Unfortunately not. I'm sorry.
Okay, not.
Or is what should we see? Give me a second.
You should see a video actually. But
what's the first? I see a test setup table. Is this from your slides or just a video?
No, it's a test setup. Yeah, that's a video actually. So that's a test setup. So then you see it. Okay, so that's a test setup.
Okay, it looks like the slides. So go on, please.
Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, it's a test
problem.
setup.
Yes,
and now
it's
you
playing.
can see the machining. Yeah. So please listen to the machining sound and listen. So that's a standard shrink holder, and we want to make you see and hear. So you look and hear the sound of this machining process. So of course you would reduce beats and speeds in this case. It's a standard shrink holder. So challenging application in 42 chromo 4 material. And this was a standard holder. Now we are doing it with a power shrink holder, which is a little bit shorter, has a little bit more outer geometry. Listen. So very smooth machining process, which means stable process. You could maybe easily turn a little bit more feet and speeds for this. And for this reason, it's a very stable machining process. Just by the change of the tool holder, cutting tool and everything else stays the same. Then we have the Haimer heavy duty chuck, which is even more rigid. So you can see that it's a really stable shrinking holder, smooth cutting, smooth process, no noises, no vibrations, but a smooth cut. So all of these are shrinking holders, but they fulfill different applications, of course. And now we see a fourth one. It's a power collet holder, so it's a collet chuck. Collet chuck, which means stable system, very short, high quality, high run-out accuracy, also very stable. You hear the sound, it's also a very good sound. So no vibrations. Okay, I hope you can see now my screen again. So
yes, we can see it.
Yes, perfect. And now we see the pictures and the results actually out of this test cut. So you see the standard shrink chuck on the left side at the top, and then you see, of course, there is the surface finish is not as good as a power shrink heavy duty or power collet chuck. So you could hear it, there was vibrations. We just changed the tool holder, nothing else in the whole system, and have a very different cutting process and machining process just by changing the tool holder. So it's very, very easy. And what we could do and realize in this case, of course, a higher productivity, because of course with a power holder, you can have a much higher AE, which means depth of cut or width of cut in this case, and we can go 9 millimeters wide and not only 4, which means we have 125% increase of productivity, which is actually the goal. We want to be productive. We want to make chips. We want to earn money on the machine tool. And of course, what we can also see, the weaker the system, of course, then we have more deflection. So in this case, the standard shrink holder had more deflection, of course, than the heavy duty one. And also hydraulic chuck we didn't show it now in the picture or in the movie, but of course we also checked it, and in a hydraulic chuck we have even more deflection. So it's not a stable system. It's not as rigid as a shrink holder. So that's just for showing you different versions and geometries for shrinking holders. And of course, what is also a very important fact is balance. What is balance? Balance is or unbalance is expensive even if you don't see it. Sometimes you have vibrations, but you don't know why. And of course, it's just because your tooling package or your cutting tool, including the tool holder, is not balanced, and it creates centrifugal forces at higher RPM. But of course, to be more productive, at the end of the day, you can use balancing as a system in order to get more productivity out of your machine tool, to increase your RPM, or also to increase feeds and speeds. So you have a reduction of the tool life when you have unbalanced tools, you have reduction of spindle lifetime, and also the whole process actually suffers if you have a weak part in the whole process, and that would mean the cutting tool would be very weak in this case because it's not balanced. So we also did a test for this, and we had a boring bar. We did a test, and we were the boring bar shows us it is actually balanced. But what means balanced? We wanted to bore a diameter 18 H7 tolerance boring operation, and we could see that with a obviously balanced tooling, it is only possible and allowed to go some 100 RPM, but not 10,000, because if you go 10,000, then you have your incredible noise, and at the end of the day, what results then is a very unbalanced part. You don't see the unbalance, but it's you can see it was like an 8, and we didn't see that we produced scrap, and all the parts would have been scrap in this case. And if you see on the right side with a balanced tooling, of course it's much easier. Then you have a balanced then you have a very good result, and in this case you can fulfill the requirements. How do you do the balancing process? Actually, it's done with a Haimer tool dynamic. And Haimer tool dynamic means the balancing machines from Haimer, starting with a small one to a bigger one, to semi-automatic balancing systems. Very easy system. It's telling you exactly how to reduce and how to compensate the unbalance. So very simple system. And the last system that I actually mentioned at the beginning of this presentation was the presetting. So Haimer is offering for more than 3 years now the Haimer Microset presetting machines, which is here in this case the Uno series. It's the tabletop versions, I would say, from manual to semi-automatic to automatic, like the automatic drive in 3 axis actually. And of course, then we have the VIO machines, which is a very stable and high accuracy tool presetter. We have the VIO linear, which is a fully automatic tool presetter in 3 axis. And then we have the VIO linear tool shrink, which is doing shrinking and presetting in one machine, for example, for double spindle machine tools, or the needs when the customer needs really highest accuracy. So what is so special about these Haimer presetters? It is, of course, that we have the, I would say, the cast iron construction, which enables us that we don't have to calibrate again and again the complete system, and also the adapters from time to time. So it's really, really efficient, and you can save the time on your machine tool if you don't preset the cutting tools on the machine tool, but externally. Don't make the machine tool itself the most expensive presetter in the world. So just use a tool presetter. That's so simple. Yeah, that's the end of my presentation. I could show you how easy it is actually around the machine tool to gain more productivity, and by shrinking, by balancing, by presetting. So simple systems, simple changes for you guys. And now I would ask you to ask your questions, and to ask me what came up. So thank you for your attention, and of course I will be there for you the next 10 minutes now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ferkel. That certainly was an interesting presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank also the members in the audience, and please use the questions input text provided by your webinar tool to ask directly Mr. Felker questions, and he will see them and answer them live on the webcam. So please, any questions from the audience? Maybe until our audience members write the questions. I have one. You said at some point that your products are also ready in the context of Industry 4.0.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a question. Maybe I'm not directly involved in this area, but you said is interconnectivity and smart products also something of interest for your products? Do you think in the near future of making your holders, for example, intelligent and giving them the opportunity to have a little intelligence on board included in them in order for them to communicate with other parts of the machine or MES systems in the factory and so on? Or is this not?
They are already smart, I would say. So the holders, they have already the functionality that they have a QR code on them, so a data matrix code. There is some data in the back actually. So for shrinking, the tool holders exactly know, or the shrinking machines exactly know how long it has to shrink and which temperature it has to heat up the tool holders to make the process really fluent. And of course, also today in the tool holders, you have the RFID chips, which enables tool presetters, of course, to send data to the machine tool directly of the tooling in order not to make any mistakes. It's running really fast, and that's the system of today. So we are working with post processors, but also with bidirectionally systems and interfaces, and there is various options actually. But I would say it starts with the tool presetter, so Industry 4.0 or 4.0, and starts with the tool presetter in the machine shop.
Thank you very much. I would like to take the opportunity to remind members of our audience to use the text input in your questions field for any questions for your presenter. Please do that, and he will read them directly if any questions appear. Thank you.
Yeah, just ask your questions and feel free. So of course, I can also tell you that we also have our Haimer webinar series, and if you want to join for these webinars, then have a look at our social media, of course, where you can find more interesting webinars, especially now for coming on Thursday. Then we have the webinar of the Haimer Microset presetters.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felker.
The wide range. There has one question. So I'm going to read it. How do you determine which cutting tool to use for each cutting process to avoid vibrations, depending on the property of the material to be cut? So, I mean, for the cutting tool itself, of course, the cutting tool determines, or the material actually determines the cutting tool what you use. But for the tool holders, I think that's what you're talking about. We say that for drilling operations, a standard shrink holder from Haimer is good enough for drilling operations. But then if it goes to finishing operations, side milling operations, we would rather recommend the power shrink holder from Haimer, or also when it comes to heavy duty roughing, for example, then the heavy duty holder, heavy duty shrink holder from us would be the right choice. So different applications. different tools. Okay, then another question. Have you thought of any news for the PCD tool so that the diamond insert does not break? I don't really know what you actually mean with this question. We are not a PCD tool maker. So for this reason, of course, PCD tools can break. Maybe you mean when shrinking PCD tools, then we have a solution. So especially at the background, when you have a look at here, this machine in the back, where we have guided cooling bodies on this shrinking of PCD tools is very easy, and no PCD tool can break, because then you don't crash it with the cooling bodies. We have linear guided cooling bodies on this shrink machine, and PCD tools won't break. If you mean in the machining process, then I think we are not the right contact, because we don't do PCD tools. So we are not manufacturing PCD tools. Okay, I think that is the questions that I got.
Yes, it looks good. Thank you again, Mr. Völker. This was definitely an interesting presentation. Before we close the session, I would take a minute just to tell everyone, to remember everyone, that the METAV trade fair itself will return in March 2021 between the 23rd and 26th, also in Düsseldorf in Germany. And of course, we are willing, we can't wait to welcome you there next year.
Absolutely. Haimer will be, of course, exhibiting again at METAV also next year, and we would love to welcome you at our booth.
Definitely.
Hopefully,
so thanks again,
hopefully with no restrictions due to Corona.
Hopefully, yes. But there is enough time until then to have a broader picture on the entire situation. So thank you again to Haimer GmbH and to Mr. Völker for this presentation.
Thanks for joining the webinar.
Exactly. I have a small last hint for the participants. You can download your participation certificate in the webinar planning tool. And don't forget to check out our other web sessions on IndustryArena.com. And with this, together with Mr. Völker, I would say goodbye and have a nice remaining day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining. And if you have questions, let me know. Bye-bye.